Teachers have the ability to add assessment type activities to their course in Buzz as well. To do so, once again, you would either locate the folder or location in which you want to add the assessment activity and click on the plus sign, or scroll to the bottom of the list and click Add Activity. From the options that populate, you would then look for assessment. Note this time the icon is a piece of paper with no folded corner and a check mark. You would then go ahead and click on assessment. Before we begin, it's important to note that when you are adding any gradable activities, which include assessments, it will have an effect on the overall gradebook when working with vendor digital content. Having an understanding of how those changes and additions can affect your gradebook is important when doing this type of work. For more information, you can check out the Advanced Gradebook session of the WEN Complementary Skills Teacher Series. And for more information on vendor digital content, you can check out the WEN Core Skills Teacher Series on vendor digital content. To create an assessment type activity, you would begin by giving it a title. Below, you can add content, if desired, using the rich text editor, as well as additional activity instructions. You can scroll to the bottom and determine if there is a need for using a calculator. At that point, you can determine which type of calculator you want students to have available, either the basic, standard, or a scientific calculator. You can also add companion material, which would be available to the student during the assessment, as well as any attachments that might be useful for students. Once you've set up the assessment activity, you would then click on Settings. Note that there's quite a few different settings. Once again, having an understanding of how these settings can have an effect on vendor content and your gradebook is helpful. You can adjust the gradebook and submission. You can uncheck it to be not a gradable assessment or keep it gradable. You can allow students to save and continue, or you can require that they answer all questions. Note that randomized question order and randomized response order are already checked by default. Under the visibility and access, you can also require students to enter a password before they are allowed to complete the assessment. Under advanced assessment options, there are a variety of different options that you have available to you. And under advanced activity options, you can also require that a student must complete this activity before they move on to the next one in their activity list. Other advanced gradebook options are already checked by default, but you can also require a passing score for the assessment to count as course credit, or you can treat it as a 0 in the gradebook until it's completed. Once you have your settings configured, you can then click on the question tab to build out your assessment. I'm going to start by clicking on the plus sign to add a question. Here, you can add different types of questions. There is a bank of question options, and there's also a customize option. You'll also determine a point value, and then you can begin to type your question. Once you have drafted your question, you will then include options for answers. Note that the one with the asterisk next to it should be the correct answer, and then you can go ahead and include additional options for multiple choice. In this particular example, I have A, B, C, and D. However, if you needed more or less, you can toggle off the text editor, and then you can see that you view the question more as a student would see it, and here you have the ability to add a choice. Also, if I click on the 3 dots, I have the ability to remove a choice. You can also add feedback based on a student's specific incorrect answer or correct answer. There are a lot of different options for how you can add a personal touch to your assessment questions within the question editor. Below the question itself, you have some options for the settings of that specific question. So you can determine how the answer options display. Either they maintain their order, they show as a drop-down menu, they have workspace. There are a lot of options for each specific assessment question. Again, here you can determine if this specific question will allow the calculator. You can add companion material, you can utilize variables, and then you can set the score options. In addition to creating your own questions, you can also link to questions that already exist from other assessments throughout the course. So if I would go ahead and click that link option, I can pick a specific assessment within the folders of this course, or you can even look through other courses. Once you've added your question, you can click on the preview button to view how a student will see that specific question. As you continue to add more questions, you will see their view of the assessment as a whole. When you are done, you go ahead and click Save. You can see that then that assessment appears within my syllabus view of the editor. From here, I can again click and drag this to wherever I would like it to be located within my course.